Good morning. This is Jason Dean coming live at 11:20 here at Film Fanatic headquarters. So I hope everyone's doing good. It's starting to snow here. Been a pretty snowy morning. Today's show is pretty sad and kind of a shocking show. I just learned about an hour ago of one of my favorite actors of all time, just a legend in Hollywood, uh, Gene Hackman. I heard that he passed away, I believe, this morning, and yeah, shocking. And so the really strange thing is that he was found dead in his at his house with his wife and his dog. They were all found dead in their house, and they don't know. The police are not suspecting foul play, but one thing that was idea was that it was some kind of carbon monoxide poisoning. Crazy, totally fucking insane. So that made me kind of stop dead in my tracks, and I was like, okay, I got to do some kind of show about Gene Hackman. He's always been one of my favorite actors. Yeah, he was one of those actors that, growing up as a kid, my dad and my mom were both, big fans of his films, and I just, he was always a part of my movie watching habits growing up. And his track record for films were just staggering, and his discography, and just one amazing film after another. I think too with Gene Hackman, I mean, just so I really feel like Gene Hackman was such an actor, such a rare breed of actor, because I mean, literally the definition of an actor, but a true chameleon. I mean, when you look at his the kinds of films he was in, for decades upon decades, and how he, was virtually unrecognizable as an actor in each role, and would cross over into, every genre you can think of: science fiction, action, suspense, thrillers. I mean, comedies. It's insane. And a true actor. I mean, he really invested the time and energy into each role. And his ability to transform himself for that particular project was unlike anything else. The movie that I grew up, the first movie I ever saw with Gene Hackman that I grew up watching was probably The French Connection, which I think is, directed by William Friedkin, one of the greatest films ever made. It's hard to believe that came out in '71. It's just wild. Another film of his, he's won the Academy Award so many times, for Best Actor. I mean, just looking at the projects and films he was involved in. I mean, again, it's just an example of like classic cinema after classic cinema, classic film after classic film. Yeah, very sad. The Unforgiven, 1992, probably the best Western ever made. Mississippi Burning with William Dafoe, 88, another masterpiece. Of course, he played Lex Luthor in the Superman films, 78, 79. The Conversation, which is an absolutely incredible film, and I only saw that movie a few years ago. Masterpiece. That is a Francis Ford Coppola movie. I was really late to the game. The Quick and the Dead, Sam Raimi Western, amazing film with Leonardo DiCaprio. Enemy of the State with Will Smith, another really great suspense film. Replacements. A film of his that I've always really loved is Hoosiers. I'm not really a big sports fan, but it's essentially a basketball movie, and he plays a coach in that movie. But that movie is so, just so damn good. That came out in '86. The Firm with Tom Cruise, another awesome movie. Under Suspicion, a really great film. Um, and his work with Wes Anderson, The Royal Tenenbaums. I mean, it's just crazy. No Way Out with Kevin Costner, '87. Young Frankenstein. I mean, it's just insane. Bonnie and Clyde, '67. Amazing, amazing film. One of my all-time favorites. Probably my top three films of his, Gene Hackman's career. This might actually be my favorite film of his career. It's one of my favorite Clint Eastwood movies. It might be my favorite Clint Eastwood movie that he ever directed, and that is Absolute Power, 1997. I did a show on that. I got that recently on DVD, and I need to get an upgrade. Get Shorty, another comedic masterpiece. Night Moves, with a really great film. I haven't seen that in years. Um, The Package, incredible. Wyatt Earp, another great, fantastic western. The Heist, such an awesome movie. Crimson Tide, um, Extreme Measures. I mean, it's insane. Those are just a few. But my favorite films of his would probably be, again, it's so hard to say, but Absolute Power, French Connection, amazing film. That's a movie I don't believe I've done a show on, which I really need to. I really love Hoosiers a lot. And definitely, without a doubt, which I think is probably, I'm a huge fan of westerns, and I kind of feel like overall the greatest western ever made is The Unforgiven, directed by Clint Eastwood. One of the stars, Gene Hackman. He's just incredible. He plays the town sheriff in that, and he's such a bastard in that movie. When you think of films like The Royal Tenenbaums, where he is so funny and whimsical, and then playing Lex Luthor. I mean, just insane. Like the amount of different kinds of roles he could play and own them is just staggering. Gene Hackman retired from acting, I believe, about maybe 15 or 20 years ago, and he became a full-fledged writer. He started writing books and published a whole shit ton of books. Became a real successful writer. He just, he reached a point in his career where he was, I mean, he did, as far as being, just one of the greatest actors ever. I mean, he really accomplished everything you could conceive of in the industry. So he was like, well, I got to retire and turn the page. There's nothing else I can really say or do, and he, went out in a blaze of glory. I mean, as far as his career goes. So, yeah, I just hearing about this very sad and terrible news. I needed to talk about it immediately because Gene Hackman's always been one of my favorite actors of all time. I own a shit ton of his movies. I always go back to them. You know, and he was, his career, and where he, his generation, you know, there was it was a totally different breed of actor at that time, and from the '60s, and you know, just astounding, just astounding. I don't have many of his films on Blu-ray, but I do need to get an upgrade. and I will, very soon. But I wanted to do this show on hearing of this passing of such a legend. So yeah, peace.